Rev up your engines!
Well, here's old Tesla ad again. Now a Tesla Model 3 hit a police car in Orlando, Florida, and the driver said it was on autopilot. Tesla Model 3. She said she was using the Tesla Advanced Driver System, and it ran into a state trooper's car. Couldn't have picked a better one to run into. Now, nobody was injured. Police car had pulled over to assist a Mercedes that had broken down on the side of the road. So trooper had gotten out of the car. He was gone. Hit a car with nobody in it. And they were by the side of the road. The problem with those things is they can't deal with unexpected situation. There was a broke down car. The police car came over to help it. They're okay in a delimited area where there's nothing outrageous happening, but people do outrageous things. Mercedes-Benz's break down by the side of the road with grim regularity too, so they should have that programmed into it, you know? Of course, Tesla didn't have any comments on it. Of course, their self-driving thing is sold under the name full self-driving. And it costs you 10 grand. So you pay 10 grand for that and then it runs into a police car. I demand my money back. Well, you know, I warn people not to buy those things, but what the heck. Well, Mercedes-Benz, of course, has run into the electric car fad. They are teasing a super efficient electric car with over 1,000 kilometers, 620 miles of range. I guess they like kilometers because it looks more. 1,000, right? Now, of course, they're not mentioning the price. Probably cost you, $5 a mile or something when you consider what they cost, the loss of value of the car for going all that distance. But, they also have a plan that they're going to go all electric by 2030, they say. Yeah, well, let's see what happens at 2030 when everything starts changing, But this Mercedes-Benz Vision EQX is an ultra-efficient all-electric car that is, of course, just in the prototype range right now. And, of course, they didn't release a production day. They didn't say how much money it was going to cost. And it turns out that they probably won't even release a production version of this thing. It's a platform to make its new electric architecture on. Everybody's always claiming this stuff. I read an article the other day about, they said, radical new battery is going to transform electric cars, blah, blah, blah. And then it has an article about scientists at some university testing out this new type of battery. They haven't even really produced yet, and it's at the nanotechnology level. Don't even know if they can make big ones or how much money it's going to cost. And this particular one I'm talking about now, it used a lot more lithium. Well, the more lithium you put into them, the more they cost. So it'd be like saying, we found a new battery technology that uses diamonds, I take all this stuff with a grain of salt until it's actually out there running. I get to test it and see what happens. Shane says, I got no 6 towel, blew hot air. I recharged the AC, blew cold for a day, now it's back to hot. Well, of course, check it. If all it did was lose refrigerant, you got a leak. Find the leak. Instead of filling with refrigerant, put AC leak dye. Then the green or yellow dye will come out where it's leaking after you run it. You get yellow sunglasses and little UV light, a whole kit at AutoZone for like $35 or something. See what's leaking. Now, on the other hand, let's say it's full of refrigerant that stopped lots of things. It could have been the compressor was out, you filled it up and it ran a little bit longer, then it stopped working. But if it worked fine for a day, you probably got a relatively large leak that shouldn't be hard to find with leak dye. Mandy Kai says, the problem today is nobody wants to fix their own cars. Everyone's lazy. Ha ha. Well, people have always been lazy. One of the reasons I got in the car fixing business, I knew it was something that's always going to be business because people don't like working on cars. And now it's like a double bind. Not only people not like working on cars, but they're so complicated they wouldn't be able to figure out unless they're buying $5,000 scan tools, have subscriptions like I do to thousands of dollars a year of online data system subscriptions and organization subscriptions to share information and learn how to read freeze frame oscilloscope data. So it's a combination of laziness and lack of knowledge and lack of tools these days. So it's a lot worse than it was when I started in the 60s, let me tell you. Dave C. says, is a magnetic oil drain plug good to use? It's too late then. If you have metal pieces in your engine and the magnetic drain pan picks it off when you change the oil, there's a bunch of metal pieces. Those metal pieces came from somewhere. So it means the inside of your engine is seriously worn and you're going to have to rebuild it soon anyway. It's too late then. A lot of guys do because they like seeing the little magnetic pieces on it and then, oh, look, it's holding them out. But realize one thing, and this is the real truth. Your oil filter is going to stop any big magnetic pieces of your engine, any metal pieces, from getting into your engine because it'll get in a filter and it won't pass through the filter. The filters usually filter 30 microns or less. And the metal pieces are a heck of a lot bigger than that if you can see them. So it's kind of just a scam thing. Because, I mean, if you got metal, it's too late. There's nothing you can do about it. Your engine's worn out. And you're going to have to either rebuild it or get rid of your car before something bad happens. Now, I mean, the only good thing I could see about it would be, let's say your car still runs decently, and change the oil, you see a bunch of metal on it, you know, oh, it's wearing out. Change the oil, put it in, go trade the car in and get another car before it breaks down, and it's obvious that it is going to break down. That's the only good thing that I can see out of it. It doesn't fix anything. Block's Place says, Scotty, hope you're doing well. I want to ask if 85 octane fuel in my 2014 Lexus ES350 is fine. The manual recommends 87, but I don't think there's much of a difference. All right, run the both. If it doesn't knock, if it runs fine, you get the same gas mileage, go right ahead. The computers can compensate for stuff. Those are very well-made engines. They're not particularly high compression. Now, in other parts of the world, the octane rating is different than in the United States. So a lot of them, their octane rating is higher level than in the United States for the same one. Like their 97 is the same as our 93. So if you're in another country, maybe not so much. But if you're in the United States, it should work perfectly fine because that's the way our octane rating system works. But I know it's different all over the world. You'd have to check with where you live if you don't live in the United States. Riley Howell says, is it a good idea to swap the camshaft in an early 2000 GM truck as far as reliability goes? Well, what are you talking about? If you're talking about taking out the stock camshaft and putting a racing camshaft so it goes faster, not a smart idea. You'd have to rebuild the whole engine. You can't just put one part. It's these knuckleheads I know, they'll say, oh man, I'm putting these racing heads and racing cams on my V8, la la la, but they don't fix the pistons and the crank the bottom end. Then in a short period of time, they blow the bottom end. If you're going to rebuild an engine, do it correctly. Don't do it piecemeal. That's foolhardy. Now, let's say your cam is worn out. If your cam is worn out, odds are the rest of the engine is worn. If you want to just change the cam with a factory cam, well, you know, you want to do it yourself. You could do it yourself. It's a do-it-yourself job. If you've got lots of hours, you've got to pull off the heads and stuff. It's not rocket science. It's the push-rod engine anyways. If you're talking about swapping to a higher performance one, you got to rebuild the engine. You can't put one piece. I think these guys say, I'm going to turbocharge my car. How many miles you got on it? 200,000. I said, you're going to blow your engine. They put a turbocharge on, a week later, they blow the engine up. So you got to do everything logically. You can't just do one piece here, one piece there. You want to fix it right, or just leave it alone. Randy Stuffin says, is 0W20 the right oil for a Honda Civic? Depends on the year of the Civic. It's very simple to do. Go to your owner's manual, or almost all of them, your oil cap on the engine that you take off to pour oil in will say what oil to use. If it says 0W20, use 0W20. If it says 10W20, use 10W. Use whatever it says on the cap or in the owner's manual. And they've changed over the years in Civics for 30-something years, so it could have any kind of oil. It'll say in the cap or say in the owner's manual. Or if you really get confused, get your VIN number. Call up the dealer and they'll tell you, because they go by VIN number. Truly Blessed says, is used 2015 Honda Civic SE a good car to buy for $14,383 with low mileage? It's a 7-year-old Civic. I wouldn't pay $14,000 for a 7-year-old Civic. Now, they're great cars. If you don't mind the price and the mechanic checks it out and says it wasn't wrecked, blooded, stolen, doesn't have any real problems, go ahead and buy it. The prices are higher than they have been for quite some time, but it's an awful lot for a used Civic myself. My son was looking for cars around Boston a while back, and he just gave up and bought a new Toyota because he said, hey, I'm hardly saving anything buying a used one, so I might as well just buy a new one, and he did. He can write part of it off in his business anyway, so he was able to save money that way in taxes, but that's a lot of money for a used Civic. They are good cars, though, if you don't mind the price. Louis Guy says, why does my manual transmission pop out of second gear? I got an '06 Mustang with 200,000 miles. Sometimes I put it in second gear, it pops out. What do you think the problem is? Transmission came from a junkyard, so I have a 90-day warranty. All right, take it back to the junkyard. Tell them they sold you a crapper. The only way they'll pop out of gear is that gear's wearing out. You put it in, step on the gas, it pops out of gear. That means second gear is shot. And that's often the gear that goes out, because when do you accelerate like a madman? And then you rip it in second. Second gear is almost always the first gear to wear out in a transmission like that, because that's a hard acceleration gear. And if they ever pop out of any gear, it means that gear is going. Take it back to the junkyard saying it's popping out of gear. That's the problem with junkyard transmissions. I had a guy with one once. He bought 4 of them that I installed, and they all were worse than the other. We ended up putting back his original transmission that made noise, but it worked, because the ones he got used were even worse. It's the problem with buying used transmissions. You never know. It's all just a gamble, and the junkyard's a lie. Yeah, that only had 50,000 miles in in them. Well, I know guys who ran junkyards, and they'd say that about everything. And when I knew the guys, I'd say, what do you mean it's only got 50? And they'll say, well, they all have well over 100, 150,000 miles on them. But the junkyard across the street lies and says they've got 50, 60, so they'll go and buy his. So we just lie just like he does. So, used transmissions, big iffy thing, and you got screwed on that one. So if you never want to miss another one of my new car repair videos, remember to ring that bell.